Pull up, grab the fuel nozzle, and get ready to fuel up on trends and strategies to grow your travel center business in this episode of the Truck Stop's Here, brought to you by NATSO. Now, here's your host, Amy Toner.
Hello, welcome to today's episode of the Truck Stop's Here. I'm your host, Amy Toner, and I'm here with my special co-host, Pamela Hayes. Hi, Pamela.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks everyone for tuning in to NATSO's podcast, The Truck Stop's Here. Today we have the special opportunity to talk to NATSO Chairman Circle member Coca Cola. We have Stephanie McMahan and Don Densmore. Hi, guys.
Hey, good afternoon.
Stephanie, I know that Coca Cola just shared some great consumer trends research with NATSO. Can you tell us what 5 consumer trends you think will stay?
Absolutely. This 2020 year has been crazy for us. And really at the beginning of every year, we start with macro trends. And in February, we did the same thing that we do every year. And we updated our macro trends presentation, which focuses on how complex, the marketplace is. It focuses on all the information, technology, revolution, and then really the changing consumer. But right after we released that in February, we all know the world just kind of changed on us drastically, introducing COVID. And so, we took a month or so and really watched it and learned and, what's happening and all that. And more recently, we've noticed and really kind of synthesized that we feel like there's 5 trends that is really going to reshape our macro trends and is going to be the new way that our shopper is going to come to market with us. So those 5 trends that we feel like are going to stick around. The first being this health and hygiene awareness, that we knew that, having a store that was clean was really important to us prior to COVID, but now it's more important than ever. Do you have a mask on? Is this store clean? When I purchase items in here, are they clean? When I see food that's exposed that everyone can touch, like how comfortable do I feel about that? Which brands do I trust? So that this over-the-top hygiene of wearing a mask, things like that might, be less important as we move forward, but just the overall health and hygiene in general will certainly stick. So that being the first one. Second one being this at-home occasion. We're typically on a grab and go. A car is out and about, and they stop in our truck stop and can pick up something while they're out, and they're going to consume it immediately. Well, now people are at home more than ever, and so we have to think about how can we sell something to them that they can take home, and that is just kind of a new way. We were doing some of that before, but it's really going to be heightened as people stay home. The third one being just comfort and indulgence acceptance in general. We know that in our channel, we've sold a lot of indulgent products, and it's been great. It's kind of like a no judgment zone. I can go in there and purchase sweets and treats and alcohol and tobacco, and no one gives me a hard time. And that's going to play well for us going forward because people are kind of leaning into these comfort and indulgent categories. So that's the third one. The fourth one is this whole digital commerce acceleration, that we know that we were moving more towards engaging with our shoppers online, but COVID has just thrown everyone into this online commerce, and not only just deliver it to my home, but even when I go to a retail establishment, can you make it easier for me to pick it up outside or just with fewer touch points in general? So everything's becoming more digital. That was the fourth one. And the last one really has to do with value redefined. This trend actually was in that February macro presentation that I mentioned when we were our third bucket where we talk about the changing consumer. We did have this whole section in there about value, that shoppers want more value, the value of my time, the value of my well-being, the value of it being personal to me. This concept of value did happen before COVID, but now that we're post-COVID, we have to think about the state of shoppers. Now we know how high unemployment is, and they're concerned about their jobs. And so we just have to think about value, not just related to price, but what really is helpful for them, what really is a solution for them that's valuable given the state of shoppers today.
Thank you. I thought we'd start by looking at the health trend. I think that's especially important for our industry. Of course, cleanliness is always important when you stop, but I also want to talk about products. Do you have any thoughts on what products they should be offering for this health trend?
Yeah, Dawn, I think you're better served on this one.
Yeah, as you think about the travel stop industry, right, and you think about the offerings that are available in store, and we want to talk outside of beverages as well here, not just strictly limited to beverages, but there may be offerings prior to COVID, but if additional resources that are there, whether that's wipes, whether that's hand sanitizer gel, those things that are available. But I think now what you're seeing is also an additional supply of those things that are available, right? So when that professional driver comes in, those items want to be there, well stocked, well supplied for them to have on the road while they're out, right? Because they won't have as many stops along the way as the traveling public or the consumers would. And then likewise, when the regular consumers come in, right, whether that's mom or dad, they want to feel good about, are there some supplies here that we may be able to get while we're on our road trip, right? To whether that's usually the travel, they do get out and start traveling again, right, and going on vacation. So they want to feel good about being able to stop at some of these operators to where they can possibly stock up on those supplies to where maybe they wouldn't have in the past. And then as you again, focus on the health areas, there's that enhanced desire for products that are around hygiene, right? So as you think about ingredient enhanced water supply, as you think about additional isotonic brands that need to be available, again, because people want to, there's again just a heightened awareness around those focus areas, and really how those things translate ultimately for the consumer and for the operator, and everybody's got the supplies that they need and they feel good about making that stop.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting that there's been a big increase in water.
Yeah, large increase in water there, right? I mean, I think as we've continued to see week over week growth, we've seen the transition, not just single serve, but a lot more increase in case pack water, right? So consumers and drivers are feeling the need to stock up some on case pack water. But again, consumers maybe not be comfortable staying in the stores as long as they were previously. So now if they grab that case pack water or that larger size water, it's going to limit the number of times they potentially have to stop, or limit the number of times they have to contact those individual bottles versus picking up a large bottle or a case pack of water along the way.
Right. Yeah, Darren and I were talking about that, how I think a lot of people are still traveling this summer, but maybe making less stops. So they're going on vacation, like driving straight there, then staying and going back. And, they'd be delighted to be able to grab, a case of water for their vacation at a truck stop or travel center. Absolutely.
Well said.
So I know our members are definitely reporting an increase in the comfort and indulgent categories. What are you guys seeing in that area?
We are seeing the exact same thing. We look, across retail channels by some of these key categories. And, this is not even a CR statement. This is a total retail statement that alcohol is just off the chart, that the percent growth, the percent dollar growth of that prior to COVID was in the 4% range. And then during the stock up period, it went up to 24%. In the shelter in place period, it went up to 26%. In the reopening that we're in now, it went up to 27%. And this is Nielsen data, but alcohol truly is just off the chart. And I just know for me in my neighborhood, like everyone's just home and let's go out to the cul-de-sac and have a drink. And like people are just raising their hands like, I don't know what to do with everything going on in the world. So let's just commiserate with each other and have a drink. And so we know that alcohol is there, but I've also seen, candy and sweet treats and a lot of those things that, we do have the market on in the C-store for grab and go occasion. The point is we just didn't have the cars on the road. We didn't have those trips. But the great news is more recently in June, we have seen week over week improvement in trips on cars in the road. We have, through Apple, we have a mobility tracker where we can see driving. It's a little bit creepy. It's almost a little bit like Big Brother because Apple's watching when you use your phone to do, GPS mapping. And so they know that If you're out there GPS mapping locations, then you're driving in your car from A to B. So, but I, little big brother, but I like it that I can drill down by city and I can see that there are more cars on the road. So we are just about at a pre-COVID level of getting cars out there, which increases our trips, and that's the grab and go trips that we need. So, Don, I'll let you add a little more related to, truck stops and the comfort and indulgence, but just from a total retail, it's very high numbers and, a lot of recovery happening.
Right. And I think similar to the water category, we've seen that across our take-home packages, right? So as you see the professional drivers, the traveling public coming in, possibly wanting to spend less time in the store early into the COVID pandemic, right? They're picking up something that's going to last them a little bit longer on the road, or whether they're out, maybe trying to get to family and across another state, possibly if it's a regular consumer, right? So, and I think one of the things the operators are doing a good job of is they're trying to create some value for the drivers, value for consumers that are coming in there to have prepackaged bundles ready to go, whether that's individual meals, whether that's multiple meals that can feed an entire family, right? But they're thinking about it from a larger pack size, whether that's a case, whether that's a larger bottle, and it's easy to tie in. And I think as people become more comfortable spending more time in the stores, then we'll start to see some of that probably transition back to single serve, but we still want to make it, and the operators still want to make it easily tie in for those drivers, for the consumers to come in and grab it on the go.
Okay. Pamela, I know you like to say that you're helping with the ice cream trend.
I do almost daily, yes.
Okay. The last one I wanted to look into a bit more is the economic pressure. What do you think that's going to look like for our industry, the next 3 to 6 months? Tell us more about it.
Yeah, the whole economy piece. The good news is related to the infection. How worried are Americans about the infection? You do kind of see that come down week over week, but related to the economy, it's still very, very high. Shoppers just cannot get a comfort level on the economy, and then we have some information about talking to different economists about when they feel like recovery will happen, and they all admit that we're in the early stages of recovery, but they believe it'll take, years. And we're not even talking about 2021. We're talking about 2022 before we're back to like a pre-COVID level. So, certainly recovery, related to the virus. We have in the total U.S., we have less, new viruses. But on a state level, we still see some states increasing. We know California's up. I mean, some of the peak areas like New York, they're way down, but I'm here in Georgia. Even Georgia's kind of back up again. And so, state by state, we have to kind of keep looking at it and see where we are related to recovery. But the good news is, like we mentioned, we have all these drivers on the road, which helps a lot. But the consumer confidence is still is related to income. It's related to my future income. They just don't have the confidence that my job is not going to be affected at some point. So that's what we have to be mindful of when we're engaging with our shoppers, is their uncomfort level related to the economy and their income. And right now, I'd say the whole virus thing is kind of stable, but we all know that potentially the fall could reignite all of this, and then we could have heightened levels of concern about the virus again. So it's kind of a wait and see, but we're in a great recovery path right now.
Okay. We'll have to have you back on the podcast then.
Yeah, we'd be happy to. Honestly, don't you feel like there's just new news all the time? So
constantly, yep.
Yes, so staying on top of it is helpful. Related to the shape of the recovery, most economists are saying like a swoosh, almost kind of like the Nike swoosh, that, we went down and we're going to just do this slow recovery back up. The problem is they just think it's going to take, over a year. So we just kind of have to take baby steps.
Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Stephanie and Don. Coca Cola is such a good, important supporter of NATSO.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for having us today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of the Truck Stop Here. You can find us online at thetruckstopshere.show. If you have any questions, I hope you'll reach out to editor@natso.com. Goodbye.
The Truck Stops Here was brought to you by NATSO, the association representing truck stops and travel centers. Visit natso.com for more information. The Truck Stops Here is produced by NATSO in collaboration with Human Factor. Producers are Amy Toner and Darren Schulte.